Can't you see? Everyone! They're here already! You're next!
Let's go!
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born!
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So explain this to me, Funkhouser. Why are people so obsessed with this idea of their first cell phone? Is this just something like...
Oh, no, something crossed my desk this week about the first cell phone, your old Nokia. I guess they're bringing that back somehow in the new world.
Oh, like retro phones.
It seems that way,
Yeah, like people like vinyl. And I heard there's people that still actively seek out cassette tapes because, they just prefer... I could see that happening. What was your first cell phone?
Mine was, I can't remember if it was the old Nokia or the Razor. It was either one or the other.
Oh, the Razor. Very good. My father, who is a corporate lawyer that went on to work for the UN, one of his first cell phones that he got, like my dad was two things. My dad was a corporate oil lawyer in the 80s and 90s, and he was also a hippie. These two things are sort of diametrically opposed, like moralistically, in terms of your principles. They don't necessarily have that much in common, I think, which is probably why after my dad finished being a corporate oil lawyer, he decided he was going to go help people wherever he could. My dad would be the first to the airport when there was, a plane load of people coming in that were going to have their heads hacked off with machetes if they got sent back to their native country. And then my dad went to Kosovo and basically helped Kosovo establish their version of democracy. By the way, if you're American, according to my dad, Kosovo can be a terrific and not so great place to be. On the one hand, things are getting a little ISIS-y up in there, as with much of the Muslim countries in Eastern Europe. But the other thing about that is, man, that stuff that Bill Clinton did that a lot of people said was a distraction from the fact that he did in fact have sexual relations with that woman. When he went in all hard and heavy into Eastern Europe, he sort of America precipitated lots of horrible things no longer happening in former war-torn Yugoslavia. And because of that, my dad said, like, in the middle of Kosovo, there's a massive statue of Bill Clinton. It's called Bill Clinton Square, and there's a big picture of Big Bubba up in there. And so it's kind of interesting. But, like, my dad went to Kosovo, and the hottest, newest cell phones were not readily available if you're in Kosovo. So for a while, my former corporate oil lawyer dad that went on to work in the world of human rights and helping countries set up their version of democracy had a pink Razor phone. Like, he was just like, hey, it's what I could get, and I need a phone. But I was like, that's too perfect. Pink Razor phone.
It was a nice color pink, too.
It was a metallic pink. It was shiny. I remember that thing. And he still talks about it to this day, where he's like, I really liked my Razor phone. That was fun. And, I guess he's not the only person. Didn't they release like a revamped version of the Razor thinking that it would completely take off? And
yeah,
I don't think
so.
Really did.
It didn't work. Wasn't the same.
One other thing that was my dad's job while he was in Kosovo, I was like, so, all right, I'll bite. What's your day-to-day look like? And he's like, well, part of it is helping, basically sort of being a consultant to a lot of the people that are working here, sort of younger Kosovar lawyers that are trying to get things done. And I help with, the benefit of my experience and give them guidance and instruction and things like that. And so he had a bunch of people working for him. But one of the tasks that he had at hand was, okay, so the first McDonald's was set up in Kosovo, and my dad had a hand in setting up the first McDonald's in Kosovo. He had nothing to do with McDonald's. He had nothing to do with franchising it or anything, but it was his job. And when something like that comes in, look, everyone on the face of the planet that lives in Kosovo is going to want a piece of that. So how do you keep it fair? Well, you have a lottery. Who gets to open up the first McDonald's franchise? You have a lottery, and that's how that's decided. It was my dad's to keep it fair, stop there from being interference from like the Albanian mafia and stuff like that. I was like, wow, it's a really interesting path that you've chosen there, Dad, and fascinating stuff, and probably why he enjoys it so much, because he feels as though he's making a difference. And you know what? I relate to that, because ever since Funkhouser and I started doing this show a little while ago, well, years ago now, I feel like in our own little way, we are managing to make a difference. And doing this show, hanging out with you, I know. But doing this show, hanging out with you, trying to find our own little way of bringing the left and right together over universal truths, the ideas that we all want the same things, and if we can maybe focus on the fact that the end goal is the same for all of us, maybe we can have a conversation and get there a little bit quicker. Well, I've found purpose in that. And so between the the boobs and the fart jokes, we're actually I think moving the ball of humanity forward down the field a little bit here on this show today and every other day. I want to thank you for being a part of it. Thank you.
Houston's more stimulating talk radio, available anywhere you go on the iHeartRadio app. Download it now at kprcradio.com.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So wait, do I sound, Funkhouser, do I sound different?
Oh.
What about now? Is this any better?
Louder.
More? What? How's this? Is this any better?
Oh, yeah, better.
Oh, there we go. Like, it's a constant struggle and a battle with processing. Peel back the curtain a little bit in the world of radio. Like, the reason that we sound the way we do is not because our voices have bass tone and resonance. No, it's because we're going through a rack of stuff. I mean, there's some people with those magical voices where they sound like this. And look, this is my normal speaking voice. But the thing that helps sort of even it out and make it sound a certain way is like this thing called a processor. And it helps with things like compression, noise gates, bass, treble, things of that nature. And it is a constant battle with people coming in and messing with your processing, because everybody's voice is different and everybody wants to go, nah, I don't sound right in this. Let me see let me adjust this knob, and oh, wow, do I sound good. Like, that's the effect that some people have with processing. And so I think someone's been jacking with it. But the thing is, Funkhouser, if I do sound different, the thing is sort of under lock and key. There's like a metal grill over it so people can't touch the knobs, and that's screwed into the wall. So if somebody messed with what's going on, they came in here with a screwdriver, which is pretty determined, and I got to take my hat off to that. Well done. Hey, let me ask you this. How do you feel? How do you feel about the idea of the minimum wage? It's not for me. It is not for me to put a value on the work that people do. That whole thing of having to walk a mile in someone else's shoes. I'm not about to decide what somebody is and isn't worth. I'm not about to decide how hard somebody works. I'm not about to decide any of those things. But I will tell you one thing. With cities like Los Angeles, Seattle, and New York imposing a $15 an hour minimum wage, something inevitable has happened that, might make you want to rethink a few things. What is it? We'll get into it a little later on in the show. Right now, though, let's take a look at the events of today in our segment, My Witness News.
This is My Witness News. In no way, shape, or form fair, and certainly not balanced. And now, super producer to the stars, Barry Funkhouser.
Now, there's a guy that has processing. There's a guy with processed voice, but he doesn't actually.
No, he doesn't.
That's
just
standard.
His voice. Yeah, Shadow Stevens, the legendary voice guy. As we've said on this show before, if you listen to the guy that announces the news and stuff like that and feel like, wow, that sounds like that guy, it doesn't sound like that guy, it is that guy. You've heard him on like a bazillion things. It makes people take our show so much more seriously that he's decided to bless us with his dulcet tones. But yeah, people get processing so that they can sound like Shadow does normally. It's very impressive stuff.
I'm getting a message from Shadow. He says, "You're welcome."
Funkhouser, how you been? Everything good?
Yeah, getting over the Vegas throat. Still lingering.
That sounds filthy, and I'm not going
It
to
is.
even. Yeah,
Sorry.
How's when is the lesbian roommate coming in? We wanted to have the lesbian roommate come in on Valentine's Day, and well, she did not because she was busy working, doing other things. And we wanted to discuss lesbian Valentine's Day. So now I guess really we're so far removed from Valentine's Day that lesbian dating is just going to be
Lesbian St. Patrick's Day.
Lesbian St. Patrick's Day. Oh,
She is like 5'1". So
who wants to see me bagpipes? Oh, diddly-dee. Oh, check out me shillelagh. Although, here's the thing. I want to be crystal freaking clear on this one. A lot of times other radio shows would be like, oh, yeah, we're going to discuss lesbian dating on the show, and it would be hackneyed, schlocky garbage. And no, the reason I'm interested in having a lesbian on the show and asking her about her dating life is just because when we're talking about lesbian Valentine's Day, some really simple questions came up. Like, well, who does the buying of what? How do you decide whose responsibility it is to do this sort of thing? What is the dynamic? What is the interaction? And if there's one thing we try and do on this show, it's try and learn as much as we can about that which we are not and share it with you because, well, the sooner we get over our any kind of gaps in our understanding between us and people that are different, the sooner we can all get on with, well, like I said, getting to that end goal that we all want. That end goal of, well, wanting a roof over our heads and meaningful work and a shot at a great education and a future for our kids. As soon as we can get over our differences, the sooner we can all move forward together. So anytime we get a chance to understand something a little bit deeper with regard to something we are not, we take it. And Funkhouser's lesbian roommate has offered to come in and talk about lesbian dating, and for that, we thank her. No idea when it's going to happen.
As soon as she's done with her being sick.
Okay, yes. Don't get her in while she's sick. We don't need that.
Roommates
we just got you
get
over
sick at
being
the same
sick.
time. So.
Oh, no. Did you get your lesbian roommate sick, Funkhouser?
Or the other way around.
Do you guys share glasses? Like, I mean, what's the division? Like, I am a complete germaphobe. Like, if somebody, you know that whole thing, like, hey, can I have some of your soda? Like, do you do that with friends?
No.
Yeah, see, I don't. Absolutely not. I think it's a broadcaster thing. But I had so many friends growing up who was like, can I have a sip of your soda? I'm like, well, no, but I'll drink it down to this. This is like going back to when I was 5 years old. Can I have a sip of your soda? No, but I'll drink it down to this line right here and point to the end of the E on the Coke
was at the
logo
bottom.
on the bottle. And I will let you have the rest of it. You can finish it off, but I will not go back and forth with this. That is gross. Gross, I tell you, gross. But, like, do you have, like...
There's common areas that germs
you've gotten
are
each other sick.
hanging out.
How do you think you got each other sick? Do you think it's off of the television remote? I always think that thing's a festering petri dish.
Probably.
It's almost like like the television remote, if you have roommates, is basically stuttering because it's so disgusting to me. It's basically a community condom, and I wish to never have to deal with that again.
Why?
You just know you're done. You're longing for that shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away.
Real radio. 104.1.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radioland. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on.
Alrighty then. So there was a certain inevitability, a certain flip side, a certain other foot that was about to fall when it comes to this $15 an hour minimum wage that is part of the vernacular in places like Los Angeles and New York City and Seattle. What is that other foot that was about to fall and is currently falling? It's very interesting, and it makes me think that no matter who you are, no matter what it is you do, in this world, as things change so rapidly in terms of how jobs get done, as digital technology, manufacturing techniques, and all of the above change the game on a daily basis, this, my friend, makes me feel as though you need to think, I need to think, we all need to think about what it is that we have to offer, what makes us special, what do we have to offer to the world, how can we leave the world a little bit better than we find it with our own unique sets of talents and skills and gifts. And I'll let you know why I think that and what the other foot is that that's about to fall after we get through what remains of the news, which is a lot because we didn't get to it. What is going on in the news, Funkhouser?
Did you hear about the planet thing? People are still talking about the discovery of 7 Earth-like planets by NASA scientists.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. It was an interesting one for sure.
Only 40 million light years away.
Yeah, they're
Let's
far,
go.
but apparently out of everything that's been discovered by people looking into space with telescopes, like these 7 Earth-like planets discovered by NASA scientists have some of the highest probabilities of being able to sustain life. It's an interesting one, to be sure. Although, you got to bear in mind that they announced this on National Margarita Day, so it might have just been the tequila talking. What else?
A study found that smartphones are stressing out Americans.
Yeah. To which residents of Ethiopia responded, "We feel your pain." If I had a nickel. Literally, if I had a nickel, things would be very different. My village would eat for months. This is such a first world problem. Such a first world problem. We're stressing out over our phones in America. And you know what we are? We were talking about, like, they're dropping, the old school Nokia flip phone, like the very first like a throwback thing. Sort of hipsters will use this throwback phone while they listen to their vinyl and their cassette tape, while they use only organically sourced mustache wax and park their penny farthing bicycles only on locally sourced gravel. This will be part of the thing. Hipster retro cell phones. But you know what? Do you remember that phone, Funkhouser? Do you remember how clear as a bell those signals were? That ginormous Zach Morris phone, that first phone that you ever had? You know what it was really great for?
What?
Talking on.
Talking? Why would you talk on one of those things?
You know what else you could do with those things? You know what else you could do with
What?
one of those big Zach Morris? You could listen to people and hear them and understand their conversation. I think Aziza Ansari said something about this, like people coming back from the past, like, oh man, someone from just 10 years ago, you would not believe what phones do. I can connect to this thing called social media. I can check my email. I can surf the internet. There's all these different things. I can take pictures. I can make movies. I can edit a music video on this phone. Remember when you needed a bank of editing bays and really expensive cameras to do that? This phone does all of that stuff. Isn't it amazing? How is it for calls? Not so good, but it does all this other stuff. I wonder if that's just like I would like a phone to be able to talk to people. And
nope.
There it ends. I wonder if the original, if they drop this as a piece of retro technology, will it still have that annoying T9 system of texting? You remember that thing? It took freaking forever.
777-444-5544.
Oh man, I never even bothered with it. I never even bothered with the whole thing. And then you have the smart stuff or whatever that is supposed to. It was an early form of autocomplete, and you'd be going home to your girl, be like, "I love you, baby. Be home soon." And
oh, hold on, my pocket's ringing.
But that weird form of autocomplete that those early phones came with, you'd be on your way home, you're like, "I love you, baby. Be home soon." And she'd go, "A light bulb, Bobby? Bacon sandwich? I don't understand this." It never worked the way it was supposed to. What else?
A new survey found that 28% of people don't allow cell phones at the dinner table.
Yeah. Well,
dinner table.
Except they'll make an exception for the Samsung Galaxy Note if they're serving fajitas. Sizzling. I'm so bummed out about that. I've got a couple different phones, but my Note 4, I was really excited to get the next version of a Note. And somebody else that got one of those new Note phones was like, "Oh my God, it's the most complete and awesome cell phone that's ever been made. This is the greatest phone ever." And it's on fire. I have to return it. Apparently it was going to be really freaking awesome. And now we have to wait until, the Note 8 comes out. And I got to be honest with you, after the last one wasn't allowed on planes because of it spontaneously combusting, I'm not in a hurry to get the first one off the assembly line. I think, Note 8 is out. That's great. Oh, yeah, we should get them. You first. That's how that's going to go.
Did you see the commercial where the commercial message is, "We've tested everything," and it's robots beating them up and them dropping and stuff. None of them caught fire.
But that, it's an interesting precedent that one sets. Now other competing phones can just be our cell phone doesn't spontaneously explode. That's when your calling card. When your calling card of quality doesn't burst into flames. We've entered a weird place. So, I suppose that you don't have people to allow cell phones at the dinner table to hold on, I probably didn't say that right. Funkhouser, there are no people that follow your instructions who you tell yes or no you can't have a cell phone at the dinner table. What about when you're dating? Do you try to avoid having cell phones at the dinner table? You're going out on a date, you want to be present, you want to be in the moment, you don't want to be checking your text messages, you don't want her to be updating her Instagram, You
don't want to, but you have to take the temperature, see what happens, If the vibe is, we're all on our phones, then we're all on our phones, I guess.
There's that game that some people play where you go out to dinner with friends and everybody puts their phone in the middle of the table and the first person to touch their phone has to pick up the bill. The first person to try and text or answer an email or something of that nature has to pick up the bill. There's been times where I catch myself because I'm very big on putting my phone down, where it's just because I have horrendous ADD in the first place. So me having something that is constantly updating and distracting while I'm trying to really enjoy anything else in life is just silly. If I'm watching a movie on TV by myself, I'll still make an effort to put my cell phone down so I'm completely paying attention to the movie and getting the most out of it, because I think that's important to do the things that you're doing 100%. So I make an effort to set my phone aside. And even me being as militant as I am about it, I caught myself the other day flipping through pictures on my phone, and I found an old folder. I had to get a new phone recently and everything updated, but it's all in different places. So you see photos that you haven't seen in a while. And I found an old folder filled with pictures of my puppy, Millhouse. And I'm looking at pictures of Millhouse, flipping through them, going oh, so cute. Oh, so sweet. Oh, that's a great one of him. And I look up and Millhouse is staring me directly in the face. He was I'm literally here, dude. You could look at pictures of me from 6 months ago, or you could just, pet the actual dog that's sitting here trying to love on you. What the hell, man? What the hell? And I remember the look in his eyes as I looked up where he was just because he snuck up onto the bed so quietly and he was just looking at me. I was oh my God, I'm a terrible person. I'm here ignoring the actual dog while I check out pictures of the dog. And then we had a puppy snuggle session, went for a walk, and all was forgiven, as it often is in these situations. Millhouse calls me on my BS, but you know what? He's a forgiving judge of my character. What else?
He also hated the old way to text, too.
He also hated the old
really
way to
hard
text.
for dogs.
Yeah, really hard for dogs.
Iceland's president is under fire for claiming he'd like to outlaw pineapple as a pizza topping.
Yeah. How do you feel about pineapple on pizza?
Impeach him. That's blasphemous.
How do you feel about it?
It's fine.
Yeah.
What do you feel about it?
Well, if you are like me, you subscribe to the old adage of, pizza's a lot like sex. Even when it's not very good, still pizza. And that being the case, it's still pizza. I'll eat it. That pineapple ham thing that a lot of people seem to be into. I'm not into it. It's never something I would order. But if one shows up at the office, damn right I'm having 3 slices and regretting it later. For sure. Absolutely. As I descend into a carb-induced coma while I'm trying to get things done around the office, the blame will fall squarely to 3 slices of pizza with pineapple on them. So I'm okay with it, even though I'd never buy it. I'll still definitely eat it. But it was amazing to me that this is a thing. This happened in the civilized world. The president of Iceland under fire for saying he would like to outlaw pineapple as a pizza topping. It's a big political, social, and legal issue in Iceland, where Bjork is from. Not sure if that has anything to do with it, but she is.
Hey, man.
And I got to imagine that after hearing the news, Americans everywhere are mystified that there's a place in the world where the most divisive political issue has to do with pizza toppings. Sounds nice. Go on.
Over the past few years, a wave of labor protests has swept over China.
Oh, yeah. Well, top demands of Chinese workers: juice boxes at nap time and a break each day to watch SpongeBob. How are you enjoying that iPhone? What about the swooshes sewn onto your Nikes? Mm-hmm. Remember where they come from. What else?
UFO sightings in the U.S. are at an all-time high.
Yeah. So, all right. Question, and I posed this on a Twitter poll on you can add ADSXEs, where you can get onto my Twitter feed, and I posed a poll. Do you believe in extraterrestrials? Do you fall into which one of these categories do you fall into? Do you think yes, extraterrestrials exist, but they're out there somewhere, they haven't made contact with us, we haven't made contact with them? Are you one of those people that thinks, nah, you know what, in the entirety of creation, in all of the known universe, the life on Earth, that's it. We're it. it starts and ends with us. Or are you one of those people that thinks, oh, extraterrestrials exist and they're here now? And if you fall into that third category, well, you're not alone, because as Funkhouser pointed out, more people believe in aliens now than ever before in America. UFO sightings in the U.S. are at an all-time high, as are the people reporting them. Go on. Do you think UFO sightings being at an all-time high has to do with the legalization of marijuana around the country, both recreationally and medicinally? Like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe what I saw up in the stars, said people in Oregon and Seattle and Colorado. You know, we should break it out by state. Like, which state are people seeing more UFOs in? Oh, right above Denver. What a freaking surprise. All right, what else?
A cop in Florida broke his kneecap while trying to subdue a 300-pound man stealing lingerie from a Victoria's Secret store.
Yeah. If I had told you the story that Funkhouser just told you now,
would you believe
but
me?
left out where it had happened, where would you guess? Would you guess Florida? Well, you probably would, and you would be right. But a cop in Florida. What up to the people listening in Orlando? And you know what? It's interesting because when we got on the air at WTKS, Real Radio, in Orlando, there's a certain amount of what the hell is going on in Florida sentiment that exists around the rest of the country. And I was just like, is this the same in Orlando? We should probably chill on the sort of like, hey, here's something really weird that happened in Florida stories for a little while, because, you know, don't want to. Look, it's one thing to be in Florida, and it's another thing to have no idea what it's like to be in Florida and talk about it. And I don't like doing that. And it made me think about this. When we got on in Orlando. I was like, I don't want to say that weird stuff happens in Orlando and offend people, or that weird stuff happens in Florida and offend people, because you know what? I'm glad I got that reality check, because, you know, I go on this show and I talk about not judging that which you don't understand and trying to get a better understanding of things that you don't understand, and until you really kind of bridge gaps of cultures and understanding. And well, that being the case, it was a check for me to be on the air in Florida and think about, hey, do we talk about Florida in an unnecessarily jocular way because of the weird stories that seem to be emanating out of them? I want to approach this sensitively. And universally, listeners in Orlando went, oh no, tons of weird stuff happens here. It's freaking Florida, man. So they're like, it must be the heat. Maybe it's the humidity. But there's a hashtag that people in Florida use. It's hashtag oh no Florida, I think is what it was. But I don't know. I think Dave Kavetsky, who listens in Orlando, that tweets us all the time, uses the hashtag oh no Florida. And he was the one that pointed out, he was like, oh no, it's strange stuff happens that is kind of unique to Florida. But case in point, this cop in Florida broke his kneecap while he was trying to chase down a 300-pound man that was stealing lingerie from a Victoria's Secret. You know what the happy ending is, Funkhouser?
What?
Luckily, the thief was taken into custody before he was able to give the police the slip. Right now, people in Florida are judging me.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Now, more AD on the radio.
Oh, sorry, Funkhouser.
What?
I was busy messaging with a peer.
Oh, here we go.
During the break. Yeah. The people that program WRIF, a legendary radio station in Detroit, Detroit, Michigan. Like, we got to know them a little bit out on the we got to know them a little bit out on that. Why
radio
why?
What? Oh, the goose?
Why the seagull or
it's
the goose?
It's a goose because you went up north. We were talking about people up north, and then that's the goose. They understand it.
I think that's a little further north. There's a Canada goose.
Sometimes they come down south.
Yeah, no, geese are famous for their migratory patterns, and that does involve flying south for the winter. But yeah, like Jade from WRF in Detroit was like, hey, what do you think of this new Nickelback record? Are you guys playing it? Do people seem to like it? So,
ooh, can we play it? What is it? I've never said that before. Please don't tell my friends I said that.
Well, it's interesting because, look, if you go back to Nickelback's early music, they had a song called Leader of Men, and that was the first time I heard them. I was like, this is cool. This is different. I dig this. I'm into this. And I stand by that song. If you go back to early Nickelback, they did some really kind of interesting and cool stuff, especially for the time. Everyone was going one direction. They went the other one. And I thought that was really cool. And then that song, what was it? How You Remind Me came out. And then the rock community sort of lost Nickelback. They became this big, enormous thing. And you know what? Nickelback to me are like the pumpkin spice latte of rock bands. And I'll tell you why. Because nobody comps to drinking pumpkin spice lattes. Nobody says, pumpkin spice lattes. I'll be getting one of those. Now it's fall. Yet, they keep flying off the shelf. All these pumpkin spice things keep getting consumed at a rate of knots. So somebody is buying the freaking lattes, even though everyone's making fun of pumpkin spice lattes and what it says about the person that's drinking them. Look at the white chick in her leggings and her Ugg boots drinking a pumpkin spice latte, being very, very white. I bet she's off to listen to that new Coldplay / what the hell's that band? Help me out here. Chainsmokers. Chainsmokers did a song with Coldplay.
Band in quotes. Come on.
Yeah. Chainsmokers did a song with Coldplay, and I was just like, yeah.
You asked for it by request.
No, we didn't. By the way, when I heard that like Chainsmokers did a song with Coldplay, I'm like, oh, that could be the whitest sentence I've ever heard. Like, I've always felt like, and I guess I can now add Chainsmokers to that list, but I've always felt like Coldplay, Mumford & Sons, and bands like Chainsmokers were in a competition to find out who could make the whitest music. Like, we make the whitest music. Check this out. No flavor whatsoever. Devoid of soul completely. Oh, yeah? You think that's white? Well, we're Mumford & Sons, and here we come. Pa-pa. And, like, it's just... And I really like some of Coldplay's music, and I really like some of Mumford & Sons' music. And, man, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it is distinctly ungroovy, I suppose. It's a good, friendly way of describing it. But back to Nickelback being
scratch them off the guest list.
Back to, yeah. Oh, hi, Chris Martin. Oh, he's leaving? Too bad. I guess really kind of the point I was making about Nickelback, them being the pumpkin spice latte of bands, like everybody talks smack about pumpkin spice lattes, yet someone is drinking all the pumpkin-y flavored drinks and buying all the pumpkin-y flavored products. And they don't like Nickelback, but some of you are lying because they fill stadiums, they sell concert T-shirts, they sell CDs, they sell all. Yeah, no, people dig Nickelback, and so like this new Nickelback song, kind of Nickelback detractors were like, I actually sort of don't mind this, and I don't have I try not to judge music. I can say it's for me or it's not for me, but I don't talk smack about anybody else's creation because it's art, and art is subjective. And I hate those radio guys that are just like, yeah, this is not for us. This sucks. The last couple records were good, but because I say so, this sucks. And I can say it's not for me, or if it's not for my listeners or not for my station or any of the above. But I try not to pile drive in these situations and whip out my opinion and see whose is bigger. I don't find that to be productive or anything of that nature. But I will say this new Nickelback song, people seem to be enjoying it that didn't enjoy Nickelback in the past. That's all we're going to say about Nickelback on this show because really we've done this a bit too much. How much time do we have left anyway, Funkhouser?
We got another one after this.
We got another one after this? All right, let's do a little bit more news. And by the way, what up, Jade at Riff in Detroit?
Yeah.
Be interested to see what decision you make on the new Nickelback. Go on.
Let us know if there's geese where you are. A new study finds that smart teens are more likely to become pot smokers.
Really? The smarter you are, the more likely you are as a teenager to smoke pot? Refuting the results of this study, the existence of Justin Bieber. In my
Canadian, it
experience
doesn't
growing
count.
up, now would be the time to play the goose, Funkhouser. Not when we're talking about Detroit, but an actual Canadian, that's when you play the Canada Goose sound effect. Go on. What else?
A new study says that very unattractive people might make the most money. Oh, all right.
Yeah. In that case, I'll be expecting my gold-plated, diamond-encrusted Learjet to pick me up at any second. This might not be a story you want to share with your boss. Go on.
There's a lot of new studies out, man. A new study shows that men who...
All from highly credible sources, not completely made up for the sake of radio ha-has and he-has, I'm
here's
sure.
another pitch
But go
for
on.
you.
What is the next new study?
A new study shows that men who exercise a lot have lower libidos.
Oh, so like you're less into doing it if you exercise more? Is that the idea?
That's what the study shows there.
Because every single fitness junkie I know, every personal trainer, every CrossFit guy or girl that's trying to get you into their thing where you spend the vast majority of your life trying to pick up heavier and heavier objects, all while eating paleo and spending your life either in the gym or doing food preparation. Every single one of those people like, oh man, you get in good shape and it's awesome for your sex life. Like your blood will be more oxygenated. That means that it'll flow more easily to the extremities. What I'm saying, dude, is basically you work out for a couple days a week with me and your woman will notice a difference. Oh, the tense you will pitch. But this is in stark contrast to that idea.
Real radio. Real radio.
104.1.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The Dumbing Up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
All right, then, Funkhouser. We'll get to this thing about the minimum wage and how it's going to affect all of us moving forward, whether we are working minimum wage jobs or not. In just a little bit. Right now, though,
get a raise.
I can't wait to crawl my way up to minimum wage. Oh, man. Let's skip to that thing about Donald Trump and the White House Correspondents' Dinner that you were telling me about earlier.
He's not attending. Donald Trump announced he will not attend the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
What was the reason? Like, I think the way he framed it up was actually kind of, he was just like, I won't be going. Everybody have a great time. I will not be there. It wasn't one of his more scathing indictments of something, I don't think. I don't think he, hung the whole thing out to dry. He was just like, yeah, not for me. Won't be there. Which is a big deal because, that's what presidents do. They go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and it's basically sort of like every president's opportunity at doing stand-up comedy, and he decided not so much. I wonder if he's, worried. So here's the thing about Donald Trump, and this is the thing that, a lot of people will tell you got him elected. He doesn't have that teleprompter reading thing. He shoots from the hip. He goes off the cuff. He says what's in his heart. There's little to no filter between his brain and his mouth. He just goes for it. And if you're going to deliver punchlines that somebody else wrote for you, you need to kind of study these words, read them, and deliver them in the appropriate comedic manner. Obama, master of it. George Bush was even pretty good at it. Ronald Reagan, being an actor, was, second to none at making people laugh. He had incredible, impeccable timing, whether he was speaking or whether he was delivering some kind of presidential gag. But I wonder if Donald Trump's steering away from it because it's just not his style. You need a certain style of communicating to make something like that happen. And look, I think if there's one thing that we've established right now, and this is what gives me hope for the Donald Trump presidency, he doesn't want to do anything if he's not going to go down in history as being the best at it. So I would imagine that might be why he's ducking out of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Go on. What else?
Let's see. Donald Trump says he likes Campbell's soup.
Did you hear about this? Apparently, this is his favorite food. That's what Ronald Reagan had jelly beans. Trump really likes lots and lots of Campbell's soup.
I did not hear that.
Yeah. especially with crackers. You know. He likes to eat soup when he's with his cabinet picks.
Oh, man.
Speaking of things that could have landed better, go on.
Hillary Clinton turned down an invitation to compete on Dancing with the Stars. Aw.
At least that's what I heard from a Russian guy that hacked her emails. Wouldn't be fair. She's got so much experience dancing around the truth. Hillary Clinton doesn't want to do Dancing with the Stars, but Bill Clinton totally down with doing The Bachelor. What else?
Thousands of Russians have marched in protest against Putin yesterday.
Oh, yeah, the big Vladimir Putin protest in Mother Russia. Thousands of Russians did this, and amazingly, 4 or 5 of them still alive today to talk about it, but not for long. Go on.
The Chainsmokers and Coldplay have released a new single together.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about this. I believe the song is called White People, You're Welcome. Go on.
Oh, man, it just continues here. Carrot Top turned 52 on Saturday.
Oh. You know, Carrot Top is sort of the new Rodney Dangerfield in terms of getting no respect. Like, have you ever seen Carrot Top live?
No. Not like I've seen him in person.
You know, it's this thing. Like, it's become popular to bash Carrot Top. Carrot Top sucks. He's not funny. And you know what? I've never seen Carrot Top. But it's like, well, it's like Bannon, Trump's chief strategist, helped Trump win in a number of ways. But one of the ways was he's like, you label your opponent something, as we discussed yesterday on the show. Little Marco Rubio, Lion Ted Cruz, Crooked Hillary. You put a negative adjective at the beginning of their name, and people are just going to start to associate them with that. You get on TV, you say it in front of millions and millions of people, and you repeat it enough times, and that's what people are going to default to when they think about these folks. And I think, you know what? Interestingly enough, I think Carrot Top has had a similar fate. Like, I know tons of people that will say Carrot Top sucks and isn't funny. I know almost no people that have gone to see Carrot Top. Carrot Top sucks. He's not funny. Oh, have you ever seen him before? No, because he sucks. Well, how do you know if you've never seen him? Well, Ooh, that's a puzzler. People are so quick to judge. I don't know. Carrot Top might not be funny. I'm not sure. But the ironic thing is that when it comes to his comedy career, he rarely receives props.
Okay. Close. Knocked him down.
Who are you to judge? Comedy's a subjective thing, Funkhouser. Besides,
I have
wasn't
the
necessarily.
buttons, and you
I wasn't
don't.
necessarily good. Oh, yeah, that's actually kind of true. I wasn't actually going for the laugh. I was just trying to make a point. Anyways,
it was right
how
there.
much how much time do we have left?
Like
You think
7
I
or
know
8.
this after like 7 or 8 minutes? Couple more pieces of news, and then we'll get on to the minimum wage
this
and
is a
how
good
it
one.
affects you, even if you're not working a minimum wage job. What else?
This is a good one. Kate Upton says she doesn't have sex with Justin Verlander before games he pitches for the Detroit Tigers.
You know, you were like Kate Upton, and I was like, and then you were like, doesn't have sex, and I was like, So wait, repeat that again.
She doesn't have sex with Justin Verlander before games he pitches for the Detroit
Tigers. Right. Which explains why Verlander just retired from baseball. Go on.
It costs. It's reported that it costs $233,000 to raise a kid.
$233,000. $233,000. Wow. Gosh. Yet that look on his face when he tells you he quit college, priceless. All right. Let's talk about the minimum wage, shall we, Funkhouser? Do you remember, Funkhouser, what your first job was and how much you got paid for it?
Yeah, well, does it count that I mowed lawns for a cool $6 an hour or something?
Was it per yard or was it per hour? Like, who were you mowing for? Was this for your parents or
no?
how
It
did
was
this
out on
work?
a big ranch out in.
So like, this was actually like employment, not just, hey neighbor, can I cut your lawn? Mm-hmm. I'm a plucky kid trying to make a living so I can buy comic books. It wasn't that. It was an actual job doing lawns.
Mm-hmm. 3 days,
or somebody else. You were 3 days. Oh, $6 an hour to cut lawns for 3 days. Why'd you give up after the third day?
Because I'm mowing lawns. It was really hard work.
How old were you?
Like 15, 16, something like that.
All right, so this is going back a ways, and it was like $6. Okay, so I'm trying to think of the first. I think that first job, we've talked about this on the show before. I think the first job that I ever had, the miserable job, was working in a shoe store where I grew up in England. Now, the shoe store was pretty far from where I lived, but it was in this part of town that was as close as I could get. And there wasn't really winning public transportation. The bus was all discombobulated. So I decided that I would work at this shoe store and I would ride my bike. And I would ride my bike in this uncomfortable shirt that I had, and I think it was about 15. This uncomfortable dress shirt and a tie that you had to wear in this sort of cut-rate shoe store. And, man, I went 3-4 days, and it rained rained on me 3-4 days in a row. And not only that, I'm getting rained on. I'm in this uncomfortable shirt. I'm sweating because I'm biking. And I'll never forget, like I'm stopped at a stop sign or a stoplight. Some car hits me with its rear view mirror, like right in the ribs. Like it was bad. Like, so I'm going through all this to make, I think, £4.50 an hour, £5 an hour, which I don't know, probably close to Funkhouser's $6 if you worked out the exchange rate. And I was there for like a week or so, and they fired me. And I saw how many people were glad to have that job and how they were lined up behind me, ready to take that position that I'd been lucky enough to have. Like, it wasn't like they had to work hard to get another employee to sell shoes. There was like a bunch of other 15-year-old kids that were more organized when it came to locating the right size for the right people. And I just, my point is, I got paid no money to get hit by cars and rained on the way to and from this miserable job. And that was an important lesson because I was like, whoa, I don't want to do this miserable job. I don't know what it is I have to offer. I mean, I'm 15, but I should probably figure something else out because, well, this is terrible, yet there's people lined up behind me to take it. It was a very early and telling lesson in economics and supply and demand and the workforce when I was a kid. I was like, I got to figure out something different because A, I'm not good at this. B, it's no fun. And there's people competing for this gig. And I think now more than ever, that's true. Figure out what it is you have to offer. Might not necessarily be unique, but you have something special. You have something special to offer. And you know what? This something special you might have to offer might only be served if you have a really good education or some sort of certificate or qualification. I don't know what it is. But I think now more than ever before, it's important to figure out what that is. Like I said, I'm not here to place a value on anybody's work or to weigh in on what's happening with the minimum wage. But I can tell you what is happening as a result of the minimum wage. Cities like LA, Seattle, New York City, they're imposing this $15 an hour minimum wage. And this is the other side of it. This was inevitable. Wendy's plans self-ordering kiosks at 1,000 locations by the end of the year. Ooh. $15 an hour, you say. That seems like it would be cost-effective to replace a bunch of positions with a machine. We don't have to pay them a salary. We don't have to give them benefits. We just, self-ordering burger kiosk. Yeah, it is 2017. This is the way of the future. And because of this minimum wage hike, it's an interesting contradiction because it looks like it's going to be putting people out of jobs. The company says that kiosks are intended to appeal to young customers and reduce labor costs. Wendy said that a typical location would have 3 of them, and higher volume locations would be given priority for the kiosks. Their chief information officer, David Trim, said that they hope to see a return on their investment in less than 2 years. He said that the kiosks will allow customers to circumvent long lines during peak dining hours while increasing kitchen production. Kiosks already have been installed at several Ohio locations. And in fact, I remember when we talked about these Ohio locations, I was like, it's coming. If you think it's not, it is. This minimum wage hike is going to result in more and more of these jobs being replaced by machines. And that's exactly what is happening. Like I said, I'm not here to tell you about the value of your work. I can't tell you. I can't put a value on it. It is not for me to judge. But you know who will judge and put a value on it? Wendy's and other employers. what you do is not worth as much to us as what this machine can do. Plus, it's going to save us some money in the long run. Too bad, so sad. I'm sorry you are out of a job. Bill Gates talked about it last week. And, well, he thinks that there's going to be a new tax on automation. You want to replace a human being with a machine? Those auto checkouts, a kiosk to give you your burgers? Well, there's going to be a tax on that, which is just trying to hold back the inevitable. Times are changing. And like I said, it is now more important than ever that you think about what it is that you have to offer the world, because you do have a gift. I promise you that. And figure out what you're going to do with that gift. Because ultimately, you don't want to be a person that's replaced by a burger kiosk. Thank you so much for hanging. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do this all over again.